Hello. So I'm finally getting started on book reviews. I've been saying I wanted to do this for some time now, and I have my makeup on today. My nails are done. Hair was done. So let's go ahead and get into it. My first book review ever will be of Above the Noise by DeMar DeRozan. Selecting Above the Noise by DeMar DeRozan was very intentional on my part because it covers two of the major topics that are important to me, and that's self-care and mental health. And I was excited and very happy when I learned that he was going to be writing this book and putting it out to talk about his mental health journey. In 2018, when his tweet went viral about his depression getting the best of him, my interest was piqued, and it was during a time when I was working for Disney on the ESPN campus in Connecticut, and I got the opportunity to attend a virtual Women in Sports Summit where he was one of the guest speakers and talked about his mental health journey then. I was captivated, wasn't truly sure why, but at one point life lifed in a very major way for me, and I soon understood why I felt such a connection to the story of his mental health. What I can appreciate is that, like many of us, especially those of us from, but not exclusive to, Black households, we hold things in. Many of us are brought up being told that what happens in the house stays in the house. So with that, many of us just went on like everything was normal, because at that time, it was. All that to say, I appreciate the part one journey. Not only did I learn more about DeRozan's youth, but it also helps you to understand what comes later in parts 2 and 3. I really, really appreciate how vulnerable DeMar was throughout this book, and I'm super grateful as the reader that he took that approach. Of course, I don't know him personally, but he seems to be very private, so opening up to strangers through this way, through a book, probably gave him some pause, I would assume. Great care was taken with his stories. You can tell that, and it's evident when in part 2 he poses the question, what comes with being an advocate? DeMar's passion for mental health advocacy is evident. He says, as a quote from the book, "This gave me a bona fide purpose. I quickly realized that using my voice and platform was mutually beneficial by sharing the message that as Black men, as athletes, as human beings, it's okay to be vulnerable." There were also many relatable moments throughout Above the Noise. Early in the book, he writes, "People used to think I was shy. Nah, I was too busy listening, and that's exactly how I was and still am today." He later shares it becomes toxic when you start playing to please others instead of playing for yourself. And this hit home for me, which I'm sure for many others as well. While I am not, nor will I ever be, any type of pro athlete, I can relate. But it took therapy for me to get there. And later in the book, he says, sharing my story has been my own form of therapy. And this is where I am today also. I want to share my own story someday so that perhaps someone somewhere will one day review my book. We'll see. So thank you to DeMar DeRozan for sharing his story. He and Dave Zarum, sorry if I pronounced his name wrong, did an excellent storytelling job. This book, I will say, is not necessarily for everyone, but if you are into mental health related topics and or learning more about our current sports figures, I highly recommend that you read this book. Let me know your thoughts, and I'm open to other recommendations.